Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back down the rabbit hole. I'm your host, Monty Hook, and I'm in the studio in Bali, and I'm joined today by Mr. Dave Driskell. How are you, bro?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much for coming in. I've been trying to get you on the show for a while.
I felt bad. I saw you at the beach, and I was like, I swear we'll do it soon. I was just a little bit busy, a bit busy.
But that's also why I want to get you in, because you are a busy guy. You're a bit of an icon in Bali, I guess. That with what you've built with CrossFit. Wanderlust,
yep.
And you're building one in another city as well.
Oh, we have one in Java in Bandung, so we've opened that about a month ago. Yeah, that'll be more for local Bandung people. So it's great. Yeah,
cool, man.
Just kind of spreading it throughout Indonesia.
So the one here in Bali, it seems to have grown pretty massively, and you've expanded, and now you've called it the Village.
Yeah.
I was just saying before, I went there a couple of months ago, and I was like blown away how. The sheer size of it.
Yeah.
First question is, why the fuck is CrossFit so popular?
Yeah. Exactly. Who knows? I mean, it's been a passion of mine for 10 years. I've been doing CrossFit. I've been following it even before that, and then teaching it for about 8 years now, or almost 9 years actually. So yeah, it's kind of merged into not just CrossFit. It's now we have classes. We have a booty building class. We have Metcon, Olympic lifting, gymnastics. We have silks, aerial classes. So it's like this whole village now that has every kind of fitness aspect. We're doing yoga and mobility. We have a cafe on site, so healthy foods, things like that. So it's been more than I started out CrossFit. That's what I knew. Yeah. So CrossFit Wanderlust, and then it turned into Wanderlust Fitness Village, and we're expanding now. We have a hotel behind the place we're building. Yeah.
Wow.
And we're adding a 25-meter functional swimming pool as well that has a functional training center next to it, so you can actually
recovery.
It'll have that. It has got ice bath, sauna, jacuzzi, and then these are massive ones, and then we have the 8-lane 25-meter pool, so you can actually do swimming workouts. Like a lot of CrossFit athletes and other people like to do a combination of a swim and then maybe like a dumbbell kind of movement. Yeah. So I'm stoked to do it. Yeah.
Nice, man.
I've been wanting that for about 4 years, and we kind of been pretty hard through the last year, but we actually did some funding on this part of it to expand, and it's gone great. We got an 18-bedroom hotel we're putting next to it, and then the recovery area. So it's going to just kind of bring us to the next level, I think, and that's what I've wanted, because we see people sitting there all day and working on their laptops, talking to their friends, meeting people, and it's mostly about the congregation and the community. So if you can sit there in the afternoon and have an ice bath and go for a swim, why not?
Yeah. So was that always your vision to like build something big like that, or did it just kind of you just started with CrossFit and then it just expanded organically?
Yeah, it's funny. People ask. It's twofold. This job for me is selfish because I like doing CrossFit and I like teaching people, and it was something that was very rewarding to teach. And I think I can do it pretty well. Yeah, I'm excited to do it. I love it. I did it this morning. I was there until I came here, pretty much doing things with you. It's twofold. I enjoy it. I like taking someone from here and turning them into this, and the whole mythos of CrossFit and functional training is just aesthetic. It's being strong and healthy and fit as a bridge and barrier before sickness. Yeah. So on all levels, that's health, nutrition, and the fitness attributes of it. So. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I started with a smaller hall, in the same area. And we had about 350 square meters, and I had 12 people, a day, and then 20 people a day. And I was like, this is crazy. This is so cool. I live in Bali. I'm teaching CrossFit. This was 5.5 years ago.
So you started with 12 people a day?
Yeah, it was a brand new gym, right? There was a smaller gym there before. I took over and kind of revamped everything and introduced the CrossFit branding and those style classes. And it just went. It was kind of different. There was only one gym on the island at that point. And they were quite smaller, and I had worked there before, so I had a bit of a established reputation in the sense that I'd coached there for 6 months, and I just had a different style and feel, and I wanted to go kind of grandiose in the way where it's a bigger hall. We have more stuff, and we had 12 barbells and a couple wall balls, and a rig that wasn't actually working right. I had to kind of rework it, and it all grew. It was very organic the way it did. Even anything I made that first year, I put right back into the gym. I bought more barbells and more plates and more rowers and everything, and it grew slowly as people came back in. But then it grew fast. and quickly, and we took over another warehouse next door, and then we took on another one, and then we built the cafe, and then we took across the parking lot. It was all just old storage, old little gudangs, little warehouses, and there was just storage in there. Someone moved out, we took it up. The next person moved out, we took that one out, and then now we own the whole, I guess, parking lot full of warehouses. Yeah, it's cool, but we've kind of merged them all, and they're kind of funky and neat. And there's extra classrooms in here. There's the big CrossFit hall. There's the open gym hall, and then there's the our studio side that has more of the yoga, and it has the aerial silks and everything. It's funny. It's so fun. Like I get kick out of it. Like now without the COVID stuff happening, we were hovering around 310, 320 people a day. Yeah, which is nuts. So
how many members is that?
That's I mean, it varies so much because it's tours here, but even right now we have 160 people that I'd say they check in every day. Yeah. So you can kind of average it after that. It's hard when it's tourist season because it's just a 1-day drop in or a 2-week drop in. But yeah, we see people, we see a lot of from Europe and elsewhere coming for about a 1 or 2 month holiday just to kind of train and eat and you can still go have a cheeky beer in the afternoon, which is great. I mean, that's what I do. So, not
awesome,
every day.
No, I mean, what I'm definitely seeing with you is that you're definitely passionate about what you're doing. And do you feel like that's a major part of the success of the growth? Like we were just saying before, I see so many people who build businesses thinking, like they get into an Amazon business or whatever, and they've got no passion in what they're selling. They've got no passion in Amazon. They're just trying to get into something. And very rarely do I ever see that land in terms of like they're really passionate about it. They might
they want to wake up and do it.
Or they build something for a year and then they're kind of bored already and they're tired of that. And some people, remarkably, do well out of that and they're able to, sell the business or whatever. But there's definitely something to be said for people who are really passionate about their business and grow something organically. So has that been, you feel like that's a major part of your success?
I think definitely. There's that old adage, passion breeds success. Yeah. Like if you love something or you become the master of it, then you can teach it to others and, put a price on it and it becomes a business at that point. And that's kind of how I looked at things. I left other businesses in America that were successful and great, but I didn't love it. Yeah. and to be honest, this is quite a bit of a community kind of business. Like I meet every single person. I want to meet every single person that comes to my gym because I'm honored they come to my gym. Yeah. And it's funny. I've said this before in podcasts. The funniest thing I hear from customers is like, "Oh, do you mind if I just take 5 minutes of your time? I just want to take a photo with you." And I'm like, "Of course." Why? What kind of dick would I be if I couldn't take 5 minutes to chat with someone who came and paid money to go to my gym? Yeah, like that's asinine if you could not do that. And I really do tell this to other gym owners and people coming up that you as an owner, even if you get real successful, you need to have a place in their business because in a CrossFit gym or any kind of gym, like you don't have to be a world-class athlete or a high-level athlete to be a great coach or owner, but you need to have give a shit, excuse my language, but you have to kind of be there for people and talk to them and hey, where are you from? What do you do? How's your wife going? Anything. And that's huge for people. It's a common ground for people to come meet. It's a modern day church, if you will. Like it's like people want to congregate, especially now more than ever. They want to be with their peers and then talk about, good stuff or do stuff that's fun, and it's I love it. I love it every day. I'll take all day long to talk to people. Like today, I looked at my clock and I was like, oh, I got an hour before I go to the podcast. I was still there chatting someone up about, something she wanted to hang aerial silks from this. And I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, I am passionate and I think that helps breed a lot of success,
Yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. The entrepreneurship aspect, you mentioned before that you've had other businesses before, you've been involved in different businesses. Yep. Is the entrepreneurship part like kind of really natural to you? Or?
Yeah, I never knew if I would. I mean, I think I've always been interested in marketing. I worked for an online company way back when online started, I think. I don't want to date myself too bad, but that's it.
He's 42.
Yeah, 42.
I'm 43, so I'm the old one here.
Yeah, there we go. But you remember the internet. Yeah, I did that. I've done corporate jobs. I was in the clothing industry for a while. And then the latest thing before I left, this was in 2010, was I went to Texas, moved to Texas and owned part of a bar and restaurant. Okay. And, I was kind of the face man and, running it, marketing it, and then managing it as well as a little bit of ownership. it wasn't enough to keep me there. It was great. They even offered me the next bar. They said, let's go thirds. You can have a half of it or a third of it. And I just kind of was like, you know what? I kind of want to I want to leave. Yeah. Like I'd always had this vision that I was going to come travel. Some things happened in 2009 where I got real sick, almost died. I had to cancel some plans. And then I did 2 years in Texas to the date. And then I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm going to leave. You know, I had a little savings in my pocket and just traveled for 2 years and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And the things I liked was travel and CrossFit. And
so,
I kind of merged those.
Do you think if you didn't have that experience where you almost died that you'd be here? Or?
I think I would had traveled to Asia. I think I would have seen some stuff. I had this yearning in 2008 and 9 that I wanted to just do more than work and then go take my paycheck and buy some diesel jeans and a pair of Converse, you know, like that's what you kind of do that. I think in your early 20s, you kind of like, I have money, I need to spend it. And you spend all your check, which for some reason, at least I didn't know. I need a car, I need this, I want to do this. Cool, now I'm out of money. Next paycheck, all right, I'll go buy, you know.
I still do that. It's just easier. It's just easier to make more money these days.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Maybe I'm just lazy. I don't go out and spend it as quick as I used to. But yeah, I think there was a definite point that maybe hit me later that, I was already kind of minimalizing my life and not consuming as much. And I think that was a pinnacle moment that when you almost die, it was pretty bad. 11 days in the hospital, had E. coli poisoning.
Oh, really?
My insides were ravished, and it took me months to recover. I stayed at my folks' house before I moved into Texas. And that kind of was a pinnacle moment where I think it hit me later that, traveling and seeing stuff and your value of your money and then, being able to save up $500 and then go around through Thailand for 5, 6, 7 days. And you're like, wow, that really lasted a long time here. And I'm seeing all these experiences. So like I had actually booked tickets to Thailand in the end of 2009. And then I got sick October 31st of 2009 and was ravished and I couldn't go anywhere. The doctor's like, you can't travel to Asia and eat crazy food after your stomach's still healing. So I, put it on pause for 2 years and I was like, I still have this desire to go. Yeah. I was real careful in Texas while I lived there. I only bought a motorcycle and a TV. I didn't have any other objects. And then I sold them and then bounced. Yeah. It was the best thing I've done. I mean, it was good to switch it up and change it up. That's why I tell people you can always go back and work again. Why not take a chance and go somewhere and do something different?
Yeah. And here you are. So what's
8 years later, 9 years later.
What do you love about Bali? I mean, obviously, you've built something, quite substantial for yourself here. But what is it about Bali that kind of holds you here? Do you consider yourself to be a spiritual person, or is that part of it? Because it is for a lot of people. Yeah,
it is. I'm not the quintessential spiritual Bali person. I think this island's got some magic, as everyone says. It really does. It's got something cool. In 2012, I was like, I like this. I could probably live here. Whereas I love Thailand, but I didn't feel like I could live here. Maybe it was also the culinary delights that you can find here and the food. But it was just, just something clicked on me. Bali is really good for people. It can spit you back out too if it doesn't work. But I saw a need for me to be here in the sense that I was like, hey, I could be the first gym, and do something great here. And it turned out I was the second after I came back in 2013 and found out someone else opened, which I was like, that's still okay. I think I can still do it. And it was the thing where I could say, I want to live in Bali because I like it. It's simple, it's easy, the chill kind of life. I'm from LA and Orange County, and if you've ever been there, the traffic is awful and some of the people are not amazing, but that's everywhere you go. Yeah. But it's nice, the village mentality here where you jump on a scooter, you drive 4 minutes to the gym, you're seeing your neighbor and your landlord, and I wave at him every morning, hey Pac, and that's cool to me. I like that. You're not inundated but with billboards and signs and consumerism, all these things that I was kind of trying to get away from anyway. And I always thought, hey, well, this is a good place. And every single person I've talked to and potential girlfriends or suitors there, I go, are you gonna live in Bali forever? I'm like, I don't know, what's forever? I stopped living in the 5-year future since the accident too. I was like, you know what, I'm content, I'm happy, I like where I am here. Even I travel still quite a bit. I have a gym in Byron Bay as well, and so I'll travel to Australia 2 or 3 times a year. I go to America 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah. And that works for me because this is my base, this is my home, this is where my gym is, and my other products and other brands. And why not? I always say if I don't like it anymore, then I'll move. Yeah. I'm not really cemented to the idea that I need to be somewhere for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I think that's a good attitude. I have pretty similar views. I don't really have any plan beyond kind of 3 years, and every business that I'm kind of building now, like I mentioned before, I'm building a place here called Lighthouse. I'm building it right from the start with managers in place, like operations manager, and I'm going to be out of it right from the start. So I love the idea of building businesses and having things, built here in Bali, but I have the same view. Who knows where the wind's going to blow, you know, where that might take me, and you don't know where that brand is going to take you, and you might end up somewhere else and then fall in love with that place. And I think it's a good attitude to have, because if you're so fixed on what you think your life is going to look like, well, you miss out on opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, if I was fixated on that and I was 29, 30, and then I got sick and everything got turned upside down, and that also opened your eyes a bit, going, whoa, shit, like this could be over tomorrow. Yeah. So, not to spoil or squander yourself, but, when they say live in the now a bit, that's okay to do as well. And I've thrived in it. Like I like it. And I'm trying to do a few more businesses where I have we're doing a nutrition line. So we have protein, and we're going to have pre-workout and all these kind of things, Wanderlust nutrition. So that isn't 100% me, which is great. Yeah. So I'm trying to, although the other day I was there sticking the labels on the protein bags and putting the first one on the shelf, and I'm so stoked.
That's cool to be part of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never not do that. But I'm trying to do these businesses. We have a clothing brand, Wanderlust Athletics, obviously everything ties into that. But, and I did 50-50 with someone. I said, you run it. Like I'll market it and push it, but I don't want to be, going to manufacturers and doing all this stuff.
I'm responsible for the day-to-day.
Exactly, because I have a lot already with the bread and butter kind of mothership. And so I'm learning to give away a little bit, in the sense not of just equity, but of business operations, because I know I just physically can't do it. Even though and people that work with me go, oh, he's hard, but like I am meticulous, and I do want a certain look or feel or vibe, but I'm also learning to let go a little bit, where we can, things can kind of come up, and because there's no way I'll be able to handle everything if I try to do everything. Yeah, of course. Even though I still sometimes feel like I am.
Yeah, and I think you also miss out on the opportunity for what other people can do if you try to control all the circumstances of what happens. You give people the opportunity to step up and do their own thing. Like, you can be amazed sometimes at what other people can do. And I think this is a massive bottleneck for probably most people in business, because they've built something, it's their baby, it has to be run this particular way. But that'll only get you so far. That'll get you to a certain ceiling. Yeah. But you're going to have to create a new paradigm if you want to go somewhere beyond that. So
I'm learning that. I really am. I have to, because if not, I'm going to just get kind of stuck, like you said, at that ceiling. And it's hard. It's very hard. Like, because if it's stuff I see every day, like at the gym, I'm like, oh, I've got to change that, got to fix that. Do this. Like, I will never stop. Yeah. Because that's, I think, another part of the success of it. People come back and they go, oh, this is new. That's changed. This is refurbished, or you've reorganized the gym. You got new equipment and things like, because I care about the perception of it, because it's a mirror of, I guess, me.
Well, also in any business, but particularly that one, like, consistency is the key. You want people to turn up and have the same beautiful experience every day. You see it here a lot in Bali. Like, people build a business. It might be popular in the start, and they just let it go. They let it degrade, and then just turns to shit. You see the businesses that do really, really well are the ones that keep it at that level. Yeah, it's very really important. Put a lot of attention to detail into it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's probably true anywhere, but especially here in Bali.
Yeah, here, because things can switch like that, and there's someone new that opens up or something like that. So, like, I'm always kind of up in the game and trying to just keep in tune with everything going on, and it's fun. Like, I'm renovating this hotel and doing all this cool, like, boho style stuff and rattan and like whitewash, and like, it's fun for me. I'm like, I've never designed a place. I'm doing a villa right now, but I'm like, this is fun. I'm like picking out where the lights are hanging. Like, it's great. Yeah. And I can, it's pride in a prideful way. It's also like, when people go, man, I love the way you laid out this gym. Did you guys hire an interior designer? I'm like, no, I just did it myself. I'm like, I just figured like those should go here and this should go here. And they're like, wow, it's really well done. I'm like, well, okay, cool. Pat on the back, but I didn't think we needed an interior designer to do a gym, but like, I'm proud of the way it looks too, so yeah, it's fun. It's a fun business. I can't complain. I go every day and I love it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen some of your videos, and you go it seems like you go pretty hard with your training.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your routine? Are you training like how many days a week?
Right now, I used to do much more, I guess, like a set program that I had a coach in Australia sending me stuff, and it was, it was a few hours a day, 2 or 3 hours a day. So it was a lot of stuff, and I had to kind of make a decision. Do I want to be a pretty okay athlete, or do I want to be a pretty okay athlete that does has businesses too? And I mean, you can do both, but it's a lot of work. And I was injured a few years ago, so it wasn't as fun, and I was losing the interest in the sport I love and have a business built around. So like I kind of took a step back, and I just was doing my own program. Like I program every day for the gym, all the classes. So I actually attend the classes as well. So like not, I'm not only an owner, I'm also an attendee, or I'm a client. And I jump in at 9 a.m. at every day to train, and I get to train with my students and with my clients. So that's kind of fun. It's very fun for them. It's fun for me because I want to meet everyone and know everyone. Also, I can monitor the coaches. I make sure they're doing the right job. Like I coach as well, but not as much as I used to have to. So now I'm able to enjoy. I come in as a student. I get to learn, and then I kind of go through it. So it's great. And I mean, I'm back. I'm feeling good. I had a real bad shoulder injury, but a year and a half ago I did some really big competitions out in Brisbane and did quite well in them. And yeah, I'd like to. I thought my career would be over, but like my shoulders healed up pretty good. I've just got a few little niggles here and there, but we just started the CrossFit Games about a month ago, and I was able to get to the second stage of it. So next weekend I start the age group qualifiers. So for the old boys, we have a 3-day competition where they release 2 workouts a day, and we have to do them throughout that weekend, and then we film it and have judges, and then we send it off to the headquarters, and then after that we'll see what happens. But I'd have to get top 10 in the world, I'm top 200 now. If I can get top 10, that would be next level, but we'll see. 20,000 guys in our age group signed up for this this class. Wow. It's nuts. So it's quite fun though.
Too extreme for me. But
one day we'll get you in there.
I think I got a little bit of work to do still to get this these ribs all right. But so you mentioned before that you were talking about during the COVID season. So
is that still going on? I can't remember.
Yeah, there's something going on. There's I think we're pretty lucky here in Bali. We had the beaches closed for a couple of weeks and still got to wear a mask in the supermarket. And
exactly.
We know how stupid that is, but
it's even worse than wearing it on a bike in the sun. But I digest.
Not that I would do that, but I just paid the fines.
Yeah,
I'd rather pay the fines. So what was business like for you then? So 2 parts to this. One was, how did you kind of navigate that period? And the second part is, have you seen the trends kind of change in terms of what people are engaging with, in terms of, them being part of your business? So you were mentioning before, like it almost sounds like this community aspect is more important as time goes on, especially during this period. So has that kind of helped you evolve the business a little bit, or is that something you're noticing?
Yeah, I mean, when I was stuck for the first 4 months in Brisbane during when
so you weren't here?
Yeah, when it happened. I had just gone to Melbourne for a little holiday to see there, and then went to Brisbane, and then that's when all the stuff started happening. And then there was like, let's hold off. I'm not going to fly back yet. Is there going to be a mandatory quarantine? We don't know. Or lockdowns and stuff. So I waited it out, and then there's no flights. So I didn't get back here till July 1st of last year. And then I noticed, it was quite a shift in the mood and the morale. And then the gym had been almost vacant. We only had to close for 2 days throughout the whole thing. We were able to get through it. If you know enough people, you can get through things here. But we did it. We donated lots of rice, let's just say, to our local Banjar. And we got through it. We were only able to have 25 people at a time, and then it got better and better. Then it's opened up, and then now we're hovering back. We're at 50% of what we'd be without COVID, which is great. It's okay. We're just kind of eking through, which is still great to be open, because a lot of restaurants and gyms have had closed down, which is awful, And we kept on our local staff. We have about 35 local staff, which is good. We didn't want to have to let them go. They all did half time for a few months, and then brought them back up. But the people's, I think everyone was needed that place to, like, you know, the beaches were closed. All right, we'll go to the gym. We can at least sit there and talk to people and do something, you know, and no one knew it was happening in the beginning. And so I think that was nice to have that congregational kind of aspect there. It is funny. I think things are shifting now in people's ideas of what is actually going on in the world. Or how bad is this? Do we still need to be doing all these know, mandates and whatnot? Has shifted. We're lucky here, like you said, because you don't see it or feel it like you feel it.
But elsewhere. Also, there's the physical environment of what's happening here, and we've had very little restrictions. But also, most people here are like us. Like we're kind of on the same wavelength about what's actually going on, which is the other really cool part of it.
Yep.
There's no we're not fighting with you know people about.
No,
there's no debates about.
No, only online, right? Yeah. That's interesting, and I'll tell you a little anecdote about that. Like even today, we had 2 new members join. They're from Germany. And they got here about I think a month and a half ago, and they explained like, wow, like even their, you know, it's all indoctrination, right? What you're around, what you see, what you hear is going to ultimately kind of curve your opinion on something, which is just happens, I believe, unless you're very, I don't know, not outspoken, but you think out of the box, which a lot of us still do, and like you look at more data, you look at other things. And they were saying, wow, when we first got here, we were at this market and everyone's walking around, and then it started raining and everyone it was an outdoor market. They all kind of congregated underneath this thing, and at first they were like, oh my God, why is this person so close to me? And they realized, oh man, because you know they were living in Germany last year going, don't get too close to people, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And they said they struggled the first week. They were like, this is crazy, like all these people are going to get us sick, you know, because you think that. And then they realize, oh yeah, I guess we're actually okay. And, you know, we can still wear a mask in the market, you know, but we can also, you know, be in close quarters without, you know.
We don't have to freak out.
Yeah, we don't have to freak out. And they said it was quite interesting the way, you know, because if you're watching the news all day and you're hearing your president or dictator or prime minister say this, and this.
Same thing.
I heard a story today that something in Germany just happened where they basically changed the law so they could change another law to let that prime minister have like an ultimate kind of style rule or something.
Yeah.
A dictator or something. It's not that far, but
he could veto something.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
I think there's a little bit of that going on in the world. I mean, that's the whole thing with the vaccine is it's you know, it's an emergency situation.
Yeah.
So they're able to bypass like the normal laws and rules and, you know, FDA regulations because it's an emergency situation. But who decides if it's an emergency situation or not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if we make it scary enough to every single person, they're going to say, yeah, that's okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So what do you think, what the fuck's going on in the world, man?
Down that rabbit hole. I don't know. I think I'll say a few good things, bad things that I've seen over the last year. I think the beautiful thing that happened in the beginning was that we all thought, hey, there's this crazy pandemic and people are dying. They're showing videos of people in China being pulled out on the gurneys and dead, and like, you know, people just laying dead in the street. Like, we're like, holy shit, this is bad. This is bad. This is crazy. And everyone's like, and then, you know, government's like, hey guys, just let's lock down for 2 weeks and flatten the curve and make sure the hospitals are good. And everyone's like, yeah, let's do that. And I was like, that's cool. Like we collectively were like, yeah, let's do better. Yeah. We can do it. And then it, you know,
I think it's day 420 of flattening the curve now.
Yeah. And that's a joke, but that's true. Like it's fucked up. Like, excuse my language. It's I don't know if you're monetizing this.
No, you can say fuck.
Okay, cool. Fuck. I say it a lot. I've been holding my tongue. And I think that was a nice part of it. And then it just got a bit out of hand. And then if you look at, you know, I was in Brisbane watching news. I was watching stuff from America. I was watching international stuff, and I was just like, I looked at, I'm not a scientist obviously either, but like we all don't know how that's all going anyway. And then the data and the numbers and the age of the deaths and all this stuff was adding up to going, well, I don't see
something's not right.
Yeah, I don't see I mean, I know there's something there and it's not helping people live, but I didn't see the severity or the scare or the danger. And it was not just because I'm not ageist or anything, but I also am like, well, if you're in good health and you have, you know, you're relatively fit, this shouldn't be an issue. Like, I think a lot of us actually got it. I think I had.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I got it in last March.
I think I might have it now, but I think I've got have it.
Sorry about that. No, thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. I mean, don't I have antibodies? Who knows? But I think it was a huge chance for the world to go, all right, let's look at our immunity. Let's look at our immune system. Are we getting enough vitamin D, and eating non-inflammatory foods, and changing our lifestyle, and exercising, and all the things, that this ultimately comes down, I believe, to like inflammatory issues as well as comorbidities and, obesity.
But I think there's those people that have opened up to that. They were already on the brink. Like there's people that are just so brainwashed, like this whole free donut for a vaccine passport scenario. I mean, that one
flipped my head.
That one just makes me want to like punch myself in the face or something. But because there's just so many signals around that, like we all know that eating donuts is not good for you.
No.
First of all, so why should you be rewarded with something that's bad for you? Like it's just a freaking mess. So what's your favorite from a health perspective? Because I think it is. You say you're not a scientist, but you're a very fit, healthy person, and your life is dedicated to helping people in that. So your opinion and your expertise is 100% valid.
Yeah. I was saying, I guess, on studying the data, but I did, looking into data and looking into numbers from my relatively mathematical mind. Like, I'm like, I don't see the danger or the scariness,
So what's your favorite, your
health tip?
No, your favorite, What's the one thing that you've seen in the news and the media that just really gets you going? Like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they saying?
Well, to tag along with the Krispy Kreme thing, I saw it when it came out, and I saw it posted on your conservative news, liberal news, whatever side you want to be on. And the complicity of them posting an article about Krispy Kreme is giving a free donut to anyone that shows their vaccine card every day of the year for the rest of the year, something like that. As opposed to like, and that was it. They didn't even explain like, or you could do this, or you could do that. Like it just was like, why are they pushing that so hard? Like it blows my mind.
And making it so like blasé, like
and
so like
this is so cool, and like, and even with the celebrities that are posting, I got it, yeah, I got a vaccine. Like it's just so trashy to me. I mean, like, would you ever go online and talk about any medication you've ever taken? I don't know. Like,
I mean, I've said 1,000 times on the podcast, I've never been vaccinated in my life, not once, once. Yeah. And I'm probably one of the healthiest people I know, besides the fact I've got COVID right now.
But I mean, I think that's it. Like tacit complicitness of a news media organization. They all do it a bit. And I said, I was kind of saying this earlier. They had the perfect opportunity to explain about eating right, being in the sun, doing all these things. They could have changed so many people's perspective or in life, but like they hammered the fear narrative. And the only savior we'll ever have is the vaccine, which is just terrifying. Like for a majority of the people they said, you can't fix anything. You can't fix health in a month. Well, it's been 15 months now. Yeah. You can definitely lose weight. You can reverse diabetes. You can change a lot of things with diet and exercise and proper sunlight and vitamin D and quercetin and zinc. You can do all these things that can greatly increase your immune system within 15 months for sure. And that's where they should have had the head start. There should have been proactiveness.
But there's even been things in the news and the media, like so-called experts coming out saying that you can't boost your own immune system. Like, I mean, such ludicrous kind of stuff. So here's my question. Do you think that there are people who are puppet masters who know that vitamin D is the lack of vitamin D being responsible for 99% of the people who are sick? They know that, and they just don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about sunlight. They don't want to talk about these things. Do you think they're doing it on purpose, or do you think that the media is just not talking about it because they're just so naive to the situation? Do you think that there's a bigger agenda at play?
Well, I think depending on how far you go into those conspiracies, if they call them, you can't even call them that, because most of them, like, I said this morning, if last year I was like, oh man, you better watch out because they're going to one day they're going to one day probably make a passport and make you show your papers and get a vaccine. People are like, you're crazy. That'll never happen. And they're talking about it everywhere.
That's a blatant breach of my privacy.
Yeah, and they're like, that'll never happen. You're like, and everyone's talking about it now. So anyway, I think that's twofold. There's, depending on how far this agenda is, there's definitely an agenda to always make money, right? And this is going to make, it already is making billions, trillions of dollars.
Money.
Yeah, vaccine manufacturers, health people, I don't know, PPE, mask, or like, there's a lot of money being made. So if there's that is definitely always kind of in anyone's agenda in the world, I think, you know, whoever is out there doing this. And I don't know. I think it's also media is entertainment, and media makes money as well. It's not as exciting to talk about taking vitamin D and being in the sun and exercising as it is to glamorize a big bad virus that's killing, you know. Well, they say there's billions of cases. They don't say about the deaths, you know, like they what sounds scarier, you know, hundreds of thousands of cases, or like here in Bali, 1,300 deaths in 13 months, 14 months. That's pretty good odds, I'd say. There's 100 people in Bali died a month for the last 13 months.
Many?
Yeah, is that many out of 4.5 million? 4.3 million people in Bali.
I didn't even know it was that much.
Yeah, it is. I watch it every day. It ticks up a little bit, a couple.
And again, those people were probably in that age bracket, or they had some
comorbidities. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the biggest, I cheekily post a lot on my Instagram, as you see.
Yeah.
Even to the point where I actually changed the word COVID to Divock.
Yeah.
I saw a couple people doing that, because if not, they tag it and they put little things, and I get shadow banned, and I get less and less people watching all the time.
Yeah.
And I made it a point a few, I don't know, 6 months ago. I was like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, I'd rather say what I feel and what I think and things I look at. I am a smart human. I can give my opinion on things, and people can. I'd rather them talk to me back and explain why that might not be right, or, you know, most often not, they just think I'm an idiot, or they try to downplay it without me having any knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I looked it up. I saw a woman here, not local, as a foreigner, driving around with a mask and earphones, but no helmet. And I was like, I wonder how many people die in motor accidents in Bali. Because we've all not worn a helmet before. Like, I wear it, mostly, yeah. So then I looked it up, and it's around 1,600 deaths a year from motor accidents, motor-related accidents, where we're at 1,300 or 1,200 a year with COVID. Yeah. So what's sillier, a woman driving around with a mask and earphones in, which is much dangerous than like just wearing a helmet with nothing.
Well, they should make a vaccine for people like that.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe that's what this will do. Maybe this is a Darwinism thing, you know. The weakest kind of will perish, which is awful to sound like and say. But it is it's a blatant wake-up call for most people. But again, back to that, like, news makes money. It's exciting to glamorize something, because the more people you watch news, the more they're going to do it. Even like they said in America, like once Trump was gone, like less people are watching the news, and there's less to talk about and less crazy drama. So they're not making as much money. Like ratings are dropping like crazy.
Twitter's like 30% less volume or something.
Yeah. It's nuts. So and then I don't know. It's just not no one's gonna do it too. I think people in the beginning are like, we're gonna get healthy, we're gonna do this, and now people have kind of dropped off. I feel awful for people in Europe that are in, you know, the 8th month of their lockdown. They only got to leave to go get groceries. It's insane. Yeah. And sad. I don't know how people are getting along. I mean, it's not a lot are. Yeah.
No, crazy world, man. So what are the fundamentals of what people need to do to stay healthy? I mean, the reason I'm passionate about talking about never being vaccinated is because I 100% believe that I'm not against vaccines for some things, and I'm very clear about that. But for most of the conditions, especially for COVID, like, my body is designed to deal with these things. I'm made of viruses. Like, it's a ridiculous notion to think that my body needs something else injected into it to deal with it. Yeah. So, you know, for me, I like talking about it because people are giving away their power by doing this. Now, if you are already healthy, you're doing health and fitness, you're taking vitamin D supplements, you're getting sunlight, you're eating all the right foods, you're doing all that, and then you're choosing with all the information to take the vaccine, great.
Sure.
At least you've got your power.
Yeah.
Right. And you've chosen based on, you know, your research, and you've got a better chance anyway because you're healthy.
Yeah.
So what are the fundamentals that people need to do to really keep their immune system healthy?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, and you know, I don't know how it goes here in Bali. I mean, I eat meat,
Yeah.
but I mean, some people, there's a lot of vegans here.
There's also a lot of carnivore.
There's a
people
lot
here.
of carnivore too. Oh yeah, I know you know some, and I know some, and I'm not saying that's not the dividing factor. I shouldn't start with meat. I should talk about, you know, like keeping the body not inflamed, less inflamed. You know, like, you know, cutting out seed oils, cutting out old wheat, things that like maybe look, you know, sucralose, even sugars, refined sugars, things that go into our body, margarine, you know, vegetable oils, things like this that our body sees as a chemical. It sees that, it doesn't see it as food anymore. So you're essentially putting in something that's foreign, doesn't understand, doesn't know how to use it. So that's what creates inflammation. As I'm sure you know, like, and cutting these things out, eliminating some of these awful side effect foods, they're not foods, they call them foods, is a great way to start. You know, just even cutting out processed packaged foods. Like, it's not rocket science to say, maybe just eat something that has one ingredient. An apple. Oh, that has an apple in it. Meat, that's meat. You know, chicken, that's chicken. And, you know, like, as opposed to looking at something that's got 23 ingredients. If that's not a really good starting
with names
point.
that you cannot even pronounce.
Exactly. Yeah.
And numbers next
and
to
there's
them.
nutrients in meat that we can't pronounce, of course, but like it is how it came from the source. And if you could simply do that with a lot of people and cut out the foreign objects, you'd have a pretty good head start, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, a big one for me is these processed seed oils. I cut that out. Like, I only use grass-fed butter. I use a bit of olive oil here and there. I don't cook with it, but like, you know, and just kind of eating clean. I've gone back to almost pro carnivore or / paleo, sometimes a keto-ish a bit, but like I stick with kind of those fundamentals of just eating real food. Make sure I'm in the sunlight. I go in the morning walks. You know, I know a lot of people in the other parts of the world might not get that sunshine for part of the year, but you need a supplement as well. Like, I also supplement vitamin D and also am in the sun. You should have both, you know. I've been taking quercetin lately. Quercetin's great. Like, I think quercetin is I'll misquote it, as an ionophore that can help deliver the zinc into the cell membrane. So like, zinc is great, but as it is by itself, cannot get into the actual cell membrane as without that ionophore. So things that they're looking at is, I've heard this on other podcasts, was that things like in the turmeric, green tea, those are kind of cell delivery devices like an ionophore, but the quercetin's quite good. So I bought a bottle of it here, and I take that with my zinc and vitamin C every once in a while, but I mostly take the zinc D and quercetin. Yeah, cool. And I eat a lot of grass-fed food.
Yeah. I mean, I've had, you know, vegans on the show, I've had carnivores on the show, and the thing that I've come to the conclusion of is that I don't think there's any right or wrong. I think it's different for different people. I think that the one common thread that is across all of it is to eat as close to nature provided as possible.
Yeah, I know a ton of vegans, and they're doing fine. You know, we might argue on certain aspects of, are you getting enough of this or that, but
and you could say the same thing for carnivores.
Sure, you could. Yeah, so I think it's about doing it right. Like, I was a vegetarian for 4 or 5 years when I was, you know, a little punk rocker. Had a vegan girlfriend or something like that, vegetarian. But I was eating bean burritos, French fries, you know, quesadillas, all this stuff. I'm like, well, that's not very healthy, is it? Like, you can be a vegetarian and be a complete slob. You can be a carnivore and be a complete slob too.
Absolutely.
So I think if you can break it down, like I said, eating, you know, good foods, like, you know, sometimes with the vegans, they're eating fried tempeh, you know, which is a processed soy product that's also been then deep fried in a PUFA, a polyunsaturated fat. Yeah. So I'd say that probably isn't the best way. I mean, a vegan that might eat an apple and a raw, some carrots and this and that, and they're getting in their nutrients and their beans and stuff like that, that can work too, you know. I think you just got to be careful on those inflammatory issues, you know, on both sides of the spectrum. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
I heard a statistic, and that's why I mentioned the vitamin D before, because I heard a couple of interesting statistics. I think it was last week or the week before. the average age of death in the in the USA with males and females is 76.6 years old.
I think it's 78.6. I believe.
Yeah. And the average age of the COVID death was exactly the same number. Very interesting statistic. The other one is that 99% of all people that have died from COVID had a vitamin D deficiency.
Wow.
So the pre-morbidities or having other conditions, a lot of it comes down to the lack of vitamin D. Now that's probably because of multiple factors. That's lifestyle, it's food, it's, even if you're taking a vitamin D supplement, you might be eating fucking McDonald's every day, so your body doesn't digest it, and there's a lot of different factors.
Sure.
But I think it's just one of these things that people don't really know about. And sunlight is, we're humans. We're supposed to be exposed to sunlight. My skin is not very good for, excess sunlight.
Sure.
But going out for a walk first thing in the morning, watching the sunset, just looking at the sun and being out there is it's so good for us. But the way that the world we've been indoctrinated into says that it's not important.
I know.
Like it's nothing.
It's maddening.
But we are part of nature, and I think this is one of the biggest things that humanity has to learn is that regardless of the technology and the cities that we live in and the cars that we drive and the cool shit that we get to participate in, is that we're just part of nature, and we've got to somehow get back to that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a huge thing, and that's what's sad about the people that are in lockdown and then throughout let's say a winter time as well. We don't have winter here, do we? We're actually approaching it right now. It's the nicest weather. Yeah. It's cool. I saw a couple kites out, but I think it's so. Yeah, it's kind of staring us in the face. Like I would say that with that the adage to the 78.6 average age of death with COVID and without COVID is bang on. Like I think this would be a pandemic and scary as hell if we were like, all right, average age is 40 years old with this COVID. And you'd be like, holy shit, like this is killing people that shouldn't be dying.
Yeah.
But if you look at those two numbers, like I said, it's killing people that are dying and already, so it's not to downplay anyone's death at all. Like that's a tragedy and awful. But you could also say, I don't know where I was going to go with this. I'll give you a little thing with my mom. She's 72, and she's like, she has fibromyalgia, chronic pneumonia. This could hit her and hurt her. She's not the healthiest person. She's had it for a while, and she's like, well, I'm older. I've lived a really good life. I love my kids, my grandkids, and she's like, I want my grandkid to go to school. She wants my nephew to go to school, and she's on our side with this, which is crazy too. She's older, and she's like, she understands. She's like, oh, this is all scare tactics and this. She's like, well, I'll stay home and I'll just quarantine here. She doesn't really, she goes out for walks maybe a little bit, but she's like, well, I just won't put myself in those dangerous spots. I was like, well, that's a very responsible thing to do. Yeah. Imagine if everyone just took that thing, at which we probably would have, but instead they're like, you can't leave. You got to wear a mask, even if you're a young person that has no chance of probably dying. You need to leave. So it's a long, weird road we're in. And I think a lot of people are waking up. I woke up real quick on it. Yeah. And I think hopefully other people will do, but
I think what's going to wake more people up now is the people dying from the COVID vaccine. I saw something from, I think it's in Norway. The Norwegian government announced a week ago or something that whatever their health department is that they're recommending, it was one of the vaccine manufacturers. It wasn't a blanket one. I can't recall which one. But they're recommending that people under 65 don't take it because they've got a greater chance, and they've got the data now, that the data says that if you're under 65 and you take the vaccine, you've got a greater chance of dying than if you don't take it.
Unreal.
So when enough of that starts happening, I think, the tide will turn and people start waking up. And
I agree. Like I'm not, again, like you're not anti-vaccine. Like I think I had measles, or I had a vaccine, I think when I first came to Asia, because they're like, oh, you're traveling abroad, you need to have this, and this. I was like, okay. This was 10 years ago. I was like, okay, I do that. I mean, I had a tetanus shot 2 weeks ago because I stepped on a nail at the new villa, and I was like, oh, it was a pretty rusty one. It went pretty deep in my foot. I called my doctor. I'm like, do I really have to have one? She's like, it's been 9 years. You probably should have one. Yeah. Okay. So like there's things to it, because like even when people are like, well, are you against smallpox? And I'm like, you know how many people that killed? It was insane. It was like a proper pandemic. Like it was a world killer, and other things. So like I'm not against that, but like we're also like, let's just spin up a vaccine in a year, and we have to rush it through trials. So this actually is the trial. I think they say like the next 2-3 years is the trial. So it's a live trial. Yeah. And I was like, I'd rather not be part of that live trial. I mean, if maybe in 10 years, if it goes, man, that really helped a lot of people. All right, maybe I'll take it. If I'm obese, comorbidities, and it's the only thing you say. Like I think if you have the option, if you're an old person, you go, wow, I could probably really die from this COVID. The vaccine's pretty dangerous too. Which one do I want to risk? You know, that's where people are at right now. And I think it'd be better for everyone just to work on themselves. They always say the best mask is a good immune system, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So fitness, movement, what's your philosophy on that? I mean, you're somebody who goes pretty hard in the gym, and you lift heavy things, and probably do that most days.
I do.
That's what actually was one of the things that kind of broke me. Okay. 20 years just doing heavy weights in the gym with no mobility and no other stuff, because nobody ever taught me, right? And it's a real... You know, when I started in the gym, that's all that people did. There was no calisthenics. There was no, nobody was doing functional movement. There was none of it. So I just did what everyone else did, and it's just pick up heavy shit and throw it around, and get big. Yep. And it turned out that it's one of the things that's kind of, hurt me a lot. Yeah. So now I'm really unraveling that. I'm doing just hour and a half a day of mobility stuff for the time being, and I'll get back to doing some resistance and some training, but not like anything like I was before. So my question to you is, with somebody who goes pretty hard, do you think that is healthy? Do you think that's sustainable, or do you think it's different for different people?
Sure. No, I don't think it's different for anyone. I think we all have these really amazing things we live in, and we can move around however we please, right? Like I think doing the wrong motion or the wrong movement in a repetitive manner over and over and over can create stiffness and non-mobile issues. So I've also been the same. I had a shoulder injury because my thoracic spine was too far forward. It was like this, and I had a bursitis, then I had ripped my supraspinatus here and my labrum. So I've been working for about a year and a half fixing it, working on rehab and whatnot, and it was due to some lack of mobility. But also I'm in a sport where I don't just do it as 3 days a week. I like doing CrossFit and functional training. So it's my sport, and that's my cross to bear if I get injured, right? Because I might be going a little harder than just the average person that's in there.
So you recommend people not do what you're doing?
No, I don't. I recommend they do. They should. Why not? I mean, I didn't start competing the day one, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've gone through different kind of training phases and looking at when you're new, you're just like an idiot. You're like, oh, I'll do everything. I'll jump and run and do and climb. And it doesn't matter. I'll just keep trying until I finish it. But you're right. But that's not the best way to do it. Yeah. So when I teach and have my coaches teach, we scale people down. We're like, all right, we're asking you to do 40 kilos here. But if you're brand new, let's do 25. Let's do 30. Let's find an appropriate weight that you can move the barbell in a proper manner. If you don't have the mobility to get into a full squat, we're only going to go to quarter squat. So I've learned a lot of that through my injuries and becoming a better coach over the years. And you can spot those people. And even with the gym we have here, we let anyone come in if they're brand new, but we also have 2 or 3 coaches on staff during the classes. So if there's someone, if you've never done it, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to have you stick over here with Susan. Yep. I'm going to have you start with the lighter barbell. We'll do this. So everything's adaptable. And if you're a good coach and you can look at something, you can tell someone how to adapt and change and scale, give them a scaled option so they don't injure themselves. Yeah. But there's something to be said about the training aspect and mythos of it. It's not about being just big, or it's not about the way you look. It's about being able to move well, to be functionally fit, and to be quick. The kind of joke in CrossFit and functional training is that you want to be able to run. There was a joke they said, we want someone to be able to run a sub 5 minute mile and back squat 500.
Yeah.
And the owner, or one of the main owners of CrossFit back in the day, or he's kind of the games operator, he said, if anyone can do that, that'd be insane. Like that, no one's ever done it. And then someone this year did it.
Really?
The same day.
Yeah.
They ran a sub 5-minute mile and then went and back squatted 500 pounds.
Wow.
Which is insane. Yeah. He's the first person to do it.
Yeah.
Just because this guy was like, that's ultimate fitness. If you could do that and that in the same day, you'd be pretty fucking fit.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it's about too. Like we want to be good. We want to be pretty damn good at a lot of things as opposed to being really great at one thing, which is a good analogy for life, right? I guess. Yeah. So like we want to be able to run a mile, but we also want to be able to deadlift. We also want to be able to do a pull our body weight up overhead. You know, we want to do all these things, not just do a bicep curl. To
which is all I did for about 15.
Oh, we all did. I did the same. And then I'm like, what is this new sport? Like, and I got my ass kicked the first day, and I was like, this is cool. Why is that smaller guy doesn't look as fit as me beating me? Yeah. And it just fueled me. And I was like, I want to get better at this. And
but I think because it's good now because, like you're saying, like being fast, being functional, being actually fit,
able-bodied.
That is cool now. Yeah, it wasn't cool 20 years ago.
And it wasn't as in our faces. We didn't know what it was. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
So has like having size, because as a man, it feels nice to have muscles and have size. Like I mean,
masculinity is cool. Right?
I used to be 10 kilos bigger, but I had a massive neck and big traps, and but at the time I thought I was pretty good looking. Do you think that but that's a trap, right? I think it's a massive trap, like, because we talk about women a lot with like self-image and why do you have to wear makeup to feel good? But it's the same thing for men. Like we feel like we got to be big and strong. Yeah. We just got a different version of it. Has that been something that's kind of been in your life at all?
Not really. I mean, I think weight stuff and all that. I once I got into like the CrossFit mythos of it, it wasn't about like the way you look, although that was a good attribute to have. Yeah, it came with it, but it was more about how do you move, how fast can you be, how strong can you be.
So the aesthetics.
Like I do bicep curls every once in a while, like every couple of weeks, just to kind of get a little pump in there. Yeah. But like I do pull-ups mostly. I do bend over row. I do so. There's a lot of things that we do accessories to make our CrossFit style movements better or stronger, but it was never about that. Like, I mean, there's a bit of vanity where you want to feel ripped and look good and all that, but like for the most part, it kind of just came with it. Yeah. But I did some bodybuilding stuff before. Not really bodybuilding. I guess I just went to the gym. I saw guys doing bench press, so I was like, I should do that too, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any friends that worked out. Yep. I was the solo guy, and I would just meet people at the gym, and these couple older dudes pulled me into there. They're like, "Here, we'll show you how to do bench press." I'm like, "Okay." I don't know. That's why it's also fun. Like, you're not going in there for this vanity project. You're going in there to like see 20 other people and get your ass kicked and try to see if you can beat them in the workout. So they turn fitness into a sport. They turn it into a game, and it's quantifiable by time or the repetitions. How fast can you do it, or how many repetitions can you do in a allotted amount of time? Yeah. And that to me was like, this is cool. This is fun, and I want to get better. Every day the workout's completely different. Every day. Like every workout I've ever written for the last 8 years is pretty much different. Yeah. And it's got different variances of similar movements, but the structure and the planning and the rep scheme and the time domain is always different. Yeah. So everyone compliments me like, this is crazy. I've never done, you never do the same workout? I'm like, no, you'll do variations of similarities, but that's about it. And it's fun. Yeah. So I mean, that's my pitch, my 1 minute pitch on why I like functional training, but it's also to be like, you feel different. You feel functionally strong. Like you can take your luggage, put it. I think that's an old analogy. You put luggage into the compartment with ease. You can pick up your groceries. That's a deadlift. You can walk them home. That's a farmer carry. Like there are all these things that have attributes to real life things. How often are you going to do a bicep curl in a real life situation? Yeah. You will do a pull up, right? So you're getting chased by a dog and you need to jump over a fence. That's a muscle up. Yeah. Things like that. It was made for military, like it was made for police and military, so that's how they kind of got into it. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, if I could turn back time, I would take that that ethos of aesthetics second and function first. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's like even like you get that desire. You feel like, oh, I need to look a certain way sometimes, but like, I mean, it's not on my mind as much as, the fun of performing and trying to do it. Like a lot of CrossFitters aren't all just shredded. Some of them carry extra weight because like you need fuel and performance to and a bit of weight to push things. And so like, it's not always about that. I think it's the second part of it, which is cool. It's refreshing,
Yeah. Cool, man. I'm starting to feel inspired to try CrossFit.
I think you can come over, man. We got awesome. You can do the booty class, the booty builder.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, that's my thing. That's my thing. For
yeah,
sure,
definitely.
Man. Yeah.
I've done it before. It's pretty fun. Yeah, yeah. But there's everything. I mean, that's why it's not just. It's fun too. You're not going in with earphones and then doing a thing, taking an Instagram selfie, and going home. You know, you're going to go in. You got earphones off. You talk to your friends. Then you take your Instagram selfie, and then you can go home. You know, or have a shake and you sit around and have eggs and bacon with someone, or whatever you want, or a vegan shake or whatever someone might have. I don't know. I've never seen
vegan bacon.
No, yeah. See, but that's it. Vegan bacon. It's all processed ingredients and weird shit. Like, why not just eat some cauliflower? I don't know.
Yeah.
Tastes similar.
So, what are some of your other day-to-day habits, rituals? Are you kind of into meditation, or you have any kind of other practices that are critical part of your day?
The biggest one I think is just my morning start. About 4 or 5 days a week I'll go on a walk. Like I've seen you down there before. Like I started doing that a year ago. I was like, oh, I don't know, just walk. It's a bit boring, but I listen to a podcast. I don't meditate as often. I do try to set myself when I wake up around 6. I don't turn my phone on right away, like because immediate stress because there's always a bunch of those blue ticks on your WhatsApp.
I think people underestimate the power of
insane.
Turning your phone off at least an hour before you go to bed and leaving it off for an hour in the morning.
Yeah,
because it's like,
I need to do the bed thing because I'm pretty
hands
bad at it.
down,
I try to do it and then I'm like, oh, and then I go. But then you're thinking about stuff.
If you're looking for a way to impact your life dramatically, just do that.
The morning one, because I always sleep with it off, or the airplane mode. And then I got real good. Lately, I've been cheating a bit. But I would get up, my alarm would come off, and I'd turn it off, and I'd go up, start getting kind of cleaned up, ready, stretching a bit, have some water, apple cider vinegar, lemon, salt.
That's exactly what I have.
And then I chill out, kind of get my coffee ready, and then I, flip it on, and then head to the beach. Yeah. Or usually I'll try to just go right to the podcast. I do check just in case the business is on fire. And then, flip it back off and listen to a podcast for an hour as I walk.
So you have coffee first thing in the morning?
I do right now.
I've been told that's really bad for you. But I still
not first thing. I wait 45 minutes.
But I still do it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like surfing's my thing. If I can go surfing in the morning, I won't drink coffee and I'll have my minerals and stuff. But yeah, and then that gives me at least a couple of hours buffer, and then I've already done a workout. And my body's already kind of
feeling good
in motion anyway. So.
Why do they tell you not to have coffee before, or is it black coffee or coffee with milk
any
and sugar?
Any coffee.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coffee with additives and sugar is not as good as straight black coffee. But
I did hear about not, because you don't want to raise your cortisol stress levels too early, but they say wait at least 45 minutes to an hour after waking up.
Yep.
So I've been kind of doing that. Yeah. So and then lately I've been just doing black coffee. I used to do bulletproof a lot. Yeah. But I'm kind of trying to fasting right now just to have a little fun. Yeah. Just to, an 18-hour window. So 6. So
you're not eating for 18 hours.
16 to 18 hours,
16, all right, yeah.
Just right now, like started 10 days ago. Yeah. I did it while I was in Brizzy, and I was like, I enjoyed it. Yeah. And I want to try to, I was like, it's good to adapt and change and stuff, and it's all about being metabolically flexible. Yeah. Being able to
I go up and down, like I think I'm pretty in tune with my body, and
I like it. It's challenging. It's weird. It's nice to feel a bit hungry. It's weird. Like you feel like, I'm like, oh, then you eat and you're like, okay. Yeah.
But I also think it's not good to be locked into, okay, well, I've just got to do this for the rest of my life, and this is the only way. Because their bodies change, and we need different things at different times of our life, depending on what's going on. So
100%, yeah. I mean, you're probably trying to get out of these stressors, and then you're stressing yourself out more about trying to be so in tune with the diet or so in tune with this. I think, like you said, the easier way to say is like, I just don't eat that, and it's okay. And then you're not stressing out about food. You should never be doing that. Like, I just go like, I don't eat stuff that have the oil in it. I don't eat that. I try to avoid this. Yeah. But I still will sometimes go get some, happy chappy Chinese food with it's got probably full of oils, and it's got some MSG and rice maybe. And MSG. But like if I do it once every couple of weeks, it's not going to kill me because my body is in a flexibility that can allow it. It understands like, all right, well, that's different, but we utilize that as fuel. and then we'll go back to going to maybe just proteins and fats, and storing it until he eats again. Things like that, and it's fun. Like, why not tweak yourself?
Yeah.
Like you can only try things. It's not going to hurt yourself. I mean, I wouldn't go on like a 30-day fast with no food at all.
Yeah,
that might be a little extreme to start.
I've have you ever done any extended fast?
No, never. No. Yeah, I tried that back in the day, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. The lemon cayenne pepper diet, or you just drink lemon water with cayenne.
I'm a huge advocate of fasting. I've done the most I've done just with water is 5 days.
Wow.
My goal was to one day do 14 days. So
do you get mental, or do you get like cranky at the first day or something?
No, I did the first few times that I did it, but now it's easy. I think you just get used to it, and I think my body's just clean now. I think when you do that and you get cranky, it's because your body's not clean.
Yeah.
And then you do it enough times, so I do something every month. I do 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
Every month, and then 3 times a year I do something extended, and that might just be like I might just do juice for a week, or do water for 5 days, or a couple times a year.
That's awesome. Man, I thought about doing that, like a longer one, like a 36-hour every month or something, just to just tag it on to one of the days and just let it go all the way through, and then just.
But the difference between our lifestyles is that, when I do that, I am kind of choosing to be really light. I've got to be like, there's no way I would go in and do,
No. I figure I could do that on roll it into the rest day or something, and just kind of chill and or purposely take a few days off of training just to get myself.
I think it's not just obviously there's physical benefits to fasting, but also I think there's a mental thing as well. Like, it just gives you a greater level of control over, because at one point in your life you think like, oh, there's no way I could go without food for 3 days or 5 days. It's like, and then when you realize you can do it, like, well, what else? What else am I telling myself that I can't do that I could do?
It's empowering, yeah. That's pretty true. Like even me just trying the 16-8 or the 18-6 fasting, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be insane. Like, I'm used to getting up and eating, and I'm used to doing this, and I quite enjoyed that feeling of like a bit of hunger, and then you get through it, and you have a little bit of a coffee or a water, and then you're like, okay, I'm all right. And then it's surprising.
So do you train when you fast?
The last 10 days I have, and I've trained very well.
Yep.
But again, it's only I'm not eating. I stop eating at 7:30 or 8 at night, and then I eat at 12:30 or 1. Yeah. So like I train at 9 o'clock. I go on my walk, train, for an hour, do some intensity, and like today I did well. I did quite well. I did a heavy lift and everything. Yeah. Maybe not the best I could probably ever do, but it was pretty good, and I felt quite okay. Had another small black coffee at 11, and then ate at 12:30.
Yeah, I know people that have been doing 24-hour fasting for years straight. Wow. Like they only eat one meal a day.
Yeah.
That's a bit too extreme. For me. And I enjoy. I like breakfast is the best thing ever. Yeah. I mean, breakfast at midday. Yeah. But I mean, breakfast is the best.
Yeah, but 2 meals a day ain't bad either, huh?
Yeah,
and nice, a bit of a snack perhaps.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's nice to have that feeding window. You're just like, oh, I'm just gonna eat now, and then I gotta stop eating now.
Yeah.
And you can kind of. I still don't eat like garbage. I mean, every once in a while a little bit, but like I try to still keep in the clean way and just get my protein levels at the right spot. But I think
when you're doing the intermittent fasting, it's easier to eat clean. It's way easier because it feels like the body doesn't have as many cravings, and you don't crave the bad snacks.
Exactly.
And you're full because you're taking a larger quantity of food in smaller number of meals. So
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Snack time. Yeah. This has been awesome, man. One final question for you, but first, how can people find you? Instagram, is that the best place to?
Yeah,
to
generally,
follow you?
Mine's just at Dave Driskell. Yeah, you can see the thing here.
We'll make sure people get the link down below. We'll put it in the show notes, and people can follow you. Yeah, it's
Dave Driskell, and the gym is Wanderlust Fitness Village.
Yep.
Yeah, we have
cool, man.
All sorts, and we got retreats going on, and everything. Retreats. Well, right now, obviously, we're waiting until June, July. Everything's open up. Retreats. We do.
You have the hotel ready for the retreats.
Yeah. That'll be for a different package. It's kind of it's going to be an eat, sleep, train package where people can buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 weeks. Yep. And it comes with like the training of PT, food, breakfast and lunch, and kind of like a consult and everything like that. And the other side is like the retreats I do are a little like higher end. We're in a nicer hotel. We do the Mount Batur hike. We do kind of a yoga session, training sessions. Yeah. And,
so it's more of an overall. It's not just a CrossFit thing.
Exactly, it does a little bit of everything. So we had great success with it a few years ago. So we were on board to do 20 retreats a year.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. We did 12 the year before. So
wow,
it's great. It's so fun. You see people from all around the world. A lot of them are like either coming in single or they don't know anyone. So they're like, oh, this is going to be weird. Like, it's nice. Like they have kind of a group, you know, of about 20 people we have on other retreats. And oh, it's so fun. Yeah. I can't wait to start them again. We've been having to cancel them and push them back. And all these people put deposits down. We're like, sorry, like borders are still closed, you know, hopefully soon. So yeah, people are coming out ready for Bali. Yeah.
I'm hearing that the borders are going to open in Bali will be open in July, but
yeah, I hear the same.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it could, the president here said it was a pretty good opportunity. He said it should be. They even might do bubbles into like Nusa Dua and Ubud and things like that. So it should be okay. And then they can just sneak into us.
No, one final question for you, man. We'll make sure everybody can check you out and get the, go check out Dave.
Thanks.
One final question, and I ask this of everybody. If you had the one-time superpower of mental telepathy and you could share a message with all 7.8 billion people or whatever the number is on the planet, one short, sharp, impactful message, what would that message be? Deep question.
That is deep. Is "don't be a cunt" taken already? I think Buddha. I think Buddha said that actually.
Yeah.
That's very true though, right? That's a good one.
Nobody said that, but I like it.
Does that work?
I like it.
No, I mean, like, I think, like, you know, like, I'm not religious anymore, but there is that quote in the Bible: "Do unto others as you would want done unto you." Yeah. Like, I grew up religious. I'm not anymore at all, but like, that is fucking true, man. Like, you know, love your neighbor as you love yourself, and be kind. Like, and I think in this pivotal moment of life and polarization of left and right and conservative, liberal, and all this, like, we've lost that. Like, I think most people want this kind of center and this alignment with two people, but you say one thing and they're like, well, that doesn't match what my party says or my party says, and it's like, I'm not even a political guy, but I've watched it in the last year and a half because it's been fascinating and crazy and a bit weird, and it's drawn me in a little bit. But like that could be it. Like, why not? Like, we should, if you don't agree with me about COVID or I don't agree with you on veganism, we should be able to still talk about it. Yeah. But it's really like, and people behind a website are easily able to throw stones, right? But I challenge people to say, like, well, explain why you don't agree with me on that, and then let's have a talk about it. And
don't have the judgment. Like, be open to the I mean, the thing I'm always saying is, like, the problem is never the problem. The problem is people's reactions to each other in the problem. Yeah. And like you said, that's been especially prevalent this last year. But I also think it's kind of two weird extremes. Like, more people are realizing, okay, well, it's not good to fight with our neighbors and throw stones at everybody. No. Let's join forces and let's figure each other out. But at the same time, there's another group which is like, you're this and you're that. But I think most of that is like driven by the media. Yeah. You know, like, a lot of that is actually instigated.
For sure.
I think, like you said, most people just, they want that. They want that unity. They want to feel that inclusion. They want to, but they've never been given, people haven't been given each other the chance because they live in this world where they feel like they need to fear their neighbor or they need to fear that person. So hopefully,
they're only pushing people farther apart. I mean, that's, I would say, part of an agenda. If there's an agenda, is to put fear in people and to push them apart and polarization, fighting, and race wars going on and this going and COVID and that. Like, it's like, what? Like, we're pretty good fucking people, I think, like, on a whole. Like, we're much better off than we were 50 years ago in all sorts of things. And I think they're trying to make this, just... Well, and that's why you got to turn off the telly for a bit and just connect with someone, sit down. And if you do have a disagreement, sit there for the hour and talk about it. Yeah. It's fascinating. You only grow by learning what other people think too. Yep. You can't just listen. Like, if you and I, even though we have a lot of similar ideas, it'd be pretty boring if we always just talked about the same thing over and over. Yeah. Like, we should challenge each other. And did you see this? Let's talk about that. Like, that's what I guess that's what I say. And that kind of means don't be a cunt.
But I think it's important, like, what you're doing and what you're building, because if you really think about it, like, I mean, the community that you have and what we have in Bali I think the world just needs more of that. Like that needs to spread.
It's
like
true.
the village that you've created just needs. That's how the whole world needs to be.
Yeah, I have a huge slogan that says "Building Better Humans."
Yeah,
I've had that there since day one as my mission statement, I guess. And the only way I knew how to do that was, teaching CrossFit, and then maybe it was like teaching community or teaching or creating a space where people could sit and talk.
But there is that intention behind it.
It is.
There's
100%.
a real intention behind it. It's not about the techniques of the CrossFit. It's about making better humans.
Yeah. And I think that's a good start where you can do lots of things. Start with yourself. Then you meet other people, help them, they help out. And it's a tiered system, but it can work.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. That was actually quite fun.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll make sure everybody. He's already got a huge following on Instagram. He's already famous. So
I don't know about
go
that.
make him more famous, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Back down the rabbit hole.